the F3 is over with and done with, and now it's just one last stretch, as you know, to the end of the year. And I'm sure every lecturer is telling you that, just one last push. And I know that a lot of you are relieved to know that this is an individual assignment, right? So just to kind of like give a bit of just an overview as to how this is going to work moving on from Wednesday onwards, because obviously tomorrow is public holiday, right? I have recorded 2 videos so far about this, around this handbook that I'm going to also send to you via the WhatsApp group as well. I've told Grant to upload it to Cole Campus. And it's a cool, very simple handbook. We'll look at some aspects of it today as well after the briefing, and look at the Iona platform too, to also know that you are a little bit familiar with where you're going and what you're doing, and what is obviously like being referred to in terms of the assignment itself, and so you can make some correlation. So just to kind of describe, so from, let's say, Wednesday onwards, we're going to split now into 45-minute segments, okay, 45-minute consultations, right? Which means that from now up to the end of till you submit, right, you tend to want to going to have only room for 2 meetings with me, right? What's going to happen in those particular bookings that you're going to make? It's obviously about, one, conceptualizing your idea, taking me through it, telling me what you're worried about, telling me like asking me all questions that are going to help you make this a professional product at the end of the day. Again, it is very important to really like to see this S1. It looks very simple. It looks very, like I say, like it looks like a little bit of work, but just know that that's where the I say that's where the problem comes in, or the trap comes in, because it's quite, like I say, it's a linear project, unlike the one that you just had, which had many different facets to. There's a lot of marks that are being given to what looks like a little bit of work. In other words, what's going to be marked is going to be meticulous marking. So just to make sure that you see this also as a brand, like it's kind of like a brand birth for you as well. I'm not saying that you're going to be a podcaster, but my belief is always that podcasting is an added value product. It's something to expand your brand in. So what you're cultivating right now as a media professional practitioner or acting practitioner, because you're not there quite yet, you might be starting off in, like I say, really sedimenting your brand. Is really important to note that, let's say, a podcast series, right, or a podcast channel is something that will add value once again to who you are and what you do. Okay, so what I'm going to do through the briefing, we'll open for some questions, and then we'll look at some semantics that I can take you through for the time being. Like I say, with let's say the startup of it, or again, just looking at Iono, looking how you're going to be doing that. Okay, the date that you have to hand this in, so it's actually quite a long way from here, is Friday the 15th of November. But obviously that week is submission week, and then classes will obviously end, including obviously any kind of bookings with me or whatever it may be, the week before that then as well. Okay, so what you do need to do is, for me, like, do not create a SoundCloud account. It really limits your range in terms of being able to put this podcast together, and obviously again kind of promote this. Iona is a very professionally set or structured platform, which does allow you, if you do pay that $90 a month for the minimum package, it is obviously RSS to Spotify, Apple, etc., and wherever those particular feeds are redistributed, your podcast will exist in those areas too, right? So okay, there are different elements, obviously, to this particular assignment. Let's look at the first one, right? So it's an individual assessment. Read, please, obviously, as we are, the full assessment, which we're going to do right here because we got the time, the evidence requirements, and please the FAQ question before commencing the assessment, right? So first question is a reflection on your live radio show. So this is, as I've been saying to you, in the Snoop sessions that we've had up to this point, and at the end specifically, I said you have to take my place now. In other words, you must be able to, at this point, with all the crit and all the guidance that you've been having over the past couple of weeks or in this semester, be able to now crit the way that I crit you. When you do get the feedback, right? I don't know if someone can just let that person in, right? Right, you're going to see that because I've already started marking. I've just marked. Well, I'm on the second group right now. First group did quite well. I'm really happy for you. But you'll see that my feedback is about 2 pages long, right? So every little element of that show is first broken down into a full feedback, like a full crit, and from then onwards, like that's when I start to mark like the different elements that you've obviously seen, technical, creative, and so on and so forth, right? So the thing is with this, you're going to see that half marks count for this. If you don't, half and quarter mark counts, quarter marks count for this. If you don't do one thing, you don't get the full mark, right? That's going to be the issue here. So you're going to ideally take the show that you've submitted. That's probably the easiest one, so that you can and please don't copy my feedback. Just be your own person, right? You will obviously have that available to you. But in support of question one, so you're going to take 1 hour from your live radio shows, right? And this could be the same one submitted as your FA3, and you can choose a different show. It doesn't matter. If you do, you have to give me access to that show. So regardless of if you're going to pick the one that you submitted, you must still submit that link, right? That you submit. I know a lot of you upload it to SoundCloud, or you must submit the show to me that you decided to crit. Okay, either or, right? So that I have access to it. Okay, so what I'm going to do then, okay, so in support, let me just shut up. Let me carry on. In support of question one, start by critically listening to your chosen show and then reflect on the questions and prompts below. And when doing so, remember to include appropriate timestamps to substantiate your answer. Again, so you will see as well when I give you, so what I've done specifically is every single link, you will see a timestamp, and so you will see the validation or the justification for why it is that you've lost marks or you've gained marks or whatever it may have been, right? Okay, so we're going into the technical presentation first. It's 5 marks, right? Can someone just please let that person in, that student in? I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Now, okay. Look at how many things are asked of you. In your opinion, did your show sound similar to a professional radio show? Substantiate your answer by comparing it to the core production rules, explaining why you think the show either adhered to or did not adhere to these rules. Also, describe how you would improve on these basic production rules. So, to play it safe, what you need to do is when you're going to first analyze that hour, right? So that you have something to fall back on when you are telling me there was no dead air, there was no repetition of elements, or there were repetition of elements. Then you can give me a timestamp as well. Each one of these needs a timestamp example. So for example, like if there was no dead air, you could say, look, throughout the show, timestamps 10:15, 10:19, 10:25, when the links were happening and there wasn't any presence of dead air. But then you need to do also. So again, it's the timestamp, it's the proof that you are explaining what happened where, and then also how you would improve on the production rule. So if you, let's say, did have dead air, how you need to tell me how you would in the future prevent dead air from happening. So for example, the DJ needs to be more attentive. They must switch their mics on earlier. They must speak directly after the song plays or the jingle plays or whatever it is. Like whatever the errors were in dead air, for example, if they were, you're going to say now how they're going to improve. If, let's say, no dead air happened, you're still going to say, like, how would they continue to retain this principle from being broken? So you would say again, attentiveness, presence, like to a show, and obviously elements does prevent dead air in any show, right? So there are, again, I'm going to explain there, I'm going to say it again, there are many elements to get only half a mark here, half a mark, right? So because there's 10 here, you're getting 5 there. You have to give me the timestamp, right? You have to then give me the example, like you have to explain what happened at that timestamp, and you have to give me how you would improve on these basic production rules, right? So again, you're very familiar with this, no repetition of elements. So again, what is that? That is when you're saying the exact same thing either in the link, that is, I'm saying the same thing in the same link. So for example, what I've noticed are certain words are being used consistently throughout a link, and it just gets irritating too fast, too soon, right? So if you're trying to define between two groups of people or two entities or whatever, and you keep repeating them over and over, it's unnecessary. It's considered a repetition of elements. The other thing is, if you come back into another link and you literally copy and paste the way you back announce a song, the way that you've ID'd, not the ID'd the station, that's obviously please take that out of the record, right? And the way that you recap, right? If you recap literally something that you said exactly word for word, it's a cause for repetition of elements, right? So once again, you would give the timestamp of where this maybe was broken, right? And the improvement would be that you have to be able to re-paraphrase to make sure that everything that you do say at any one point is fresh, right? And not robotic. Something simple. Don't complicate things. Just make very clear and concise deliberations about these things here, like how you would improve, right? Okay. Again, the timestamps, and please, the example. The example is very important. So when you give the timestamp, you must explain what happened in that timestamp and move on, right? So in this case, very easy one, right? All ad breaks must play as scheduled in the show clocks. There were only there was provide you were provided with one live read or one live promo, right? That had to happen at a particular point in the show, right? So again, if you didn't do it according to the time that was given to you, I'm not sure whether Kabange said it has to come out at that time. If it wasn't, then you have to take it according to what you prepped. So let's say you prepped it maybe at quarter to 1 o'clock, whatever it is, and you had 60 seconds to read that live read. I'm saying you had 60 seconds leeway, so up to 46 past or 44 past, then you adhere to the rule, right? It's very important that ads are played out slash read out slash executed at the correct times, because you know that our rate card and our revenue is determined by that, right? So obviously a big thing here, if you broke that rule, man, the solution is time management, and how to obviously implement time management as a radio broadcaster, a jock, obviously on air. Once again, same thing here. All news and sports bulletin must be played out as scheduled. A leeway of 30 seconds will be given. Music and talk levels must be the same. So, in other words, like if a song and your microphone, right? I'm saying that wherever the DJ, the newsreader, or the sports presenter is reading on is different, you have a problem. You've broken the rule, right? The links do adhere to the 4 stages of great storytelling, and you have to substantiate here why you think the hook, the crumbs, the payoff, and the blackout was actually met, or it was obviously like the rule was broken. No elements of any kind in your from your prep may be skipped, deleted, or inserted. If they were, you're going to have to explain, obviously, at what point, what happened, and how, obviously, you can improve on making sure that that doesn't happen again, right? All show members' voices are audible at all times. So, for example, someone speaking off mic, their mic is not turned on, etc., etc. Right? Like there's a guest or whatever, and that happened. Then obviously the rule was broken. And once again, you're going to have to tell me how it is that you plan on never breaking that rule again. The songs are played to a minimum of 90% of the total time. We know, once again, a lot of things in radio are about time management, right? But you can't just say time management, time management, time management. I need to look at, let's say, like before I'm playing out sweeps, I've got to look at the time that I have left. If the songs I can see, the one song, the second song in the sweep is going to be too much, I need to cut that song out, for example, and I need to fill that with a link that will take me to, for example, the top of the hour or the bottom of the hour, right? No crashing of vocals. So no one must speak over a voice note. No one must speak over a guest. No one must speak over another person, like a sports or a news presenter or a soundbite or anything. You may not talk over something else. Otherwise, that's considered crashing of vocals, right? I will, as I said to you, I encouraged you to speak over the end of the song, right? Just because I wanted as more like wanted the possibility of dead air to not be there, right? So that as long as you're speaking over the night, like at the end of the song, and there it was over vocals, I don't consider that crashing of vocals because we all do it in radio, right? And they all tell us that we have to do it. I'm saying at stations, okay, that you must speak over the end of the song, ideally where it becomes instrumental, where there's a decay, whether whatever it is, whether it's a cold, doesn't matter, right? Like you have to use obviously like your radio, I'm saying your presenter intuition to know what is and what isn't correct. Okay, so once again, then we have a difference in marks here, right? So there's a 15 mark breakup, but there's a 5 here and a 10 here for literally the same thing that you had to do here. Obviously in the creative segment, are you talking to one person? Is it conventional? Can an individual listener feel connected with the presenter, or is the host speaking to all listeners out there? There are many ways to break this particular rule. So, for example, like if you were talking to the individual, but you were disconnected in general, then you've broken this rule. In other words, I haven't felt at any one point that you're talking with me, right? Okay. You might be saying you and you are and whatever it may be, but you don't, like, you're not here, like you're not here in the studio. You are basically a robotic version of a DJ. That is a disconnect. It's not conventional, and it definitely is speaking at people and not to people. So for example, that is how you would break that particular rule. The visual language, as I'm just going to repeat, I know it's a rinse cycle repeat, but rather to repeat it so that you know, right? Again, same thing applies before. Eh? So you give the timestamp, you give what happened there, and then obviously at the bottom here, you will then use each one of these for a half mark to show how you would improve on each one of these. Okay. Anyway, visual language, and can you see the story? The right visual language to see the right story. So if there's a DJ that's blabbing and blabbing and they're carrying on and carrying on, this is not use of visual language. That is basically waffling. Right. So visual language is imperative to the story that you want to make or tell, or the point that you want to make. Right. When you excuse me, when you hear that not happening, please say that obviously the rule has been broken or it's adhered to, etc., etc. Again, timestamp, example, and then obviously down here the improvement. Is there passion, fun, or humor any one of these? And you can explain why. Don't just say, if you say to me, yes, the DJ was passionate, I'm not going to give you the mark because that means nothing to me. Like you've got to say, there was passion. You could hear this person was very invested in their guest. Like when the way that they responded to voice notes was articulate and it was enriched. Like it was enriched or whatever it is. Like like that is how you describe passion, fun or humor. You understand? Very funny throughout maybe a feature that was being used, or they responded quite in a healthy way of kind of like banter with a listener or a guest or whatever. Like that's how you would define that. Is it relevant to the listener? So health, emotions, money, social awareness. You would look at, let's say, the topics that you did cover, right? And were they relevant to this particular student audience? Okay. Is it a talkable topic? In other words, what we test this on is whether or not you got voice notes for like the call outs that you did make, and whether the voice notes were actually good ones. In other words, if it was repetitive, then it went nowhere. If it was predictable, then it went nowhere. Do you understand? It wasn't then a talkable topic. Just having voice notes doesn't mean you actually got this mark or actually got this correct. It meant that someone wanted to say something about it because there was something to say, right? So that's how you would judge that one. Are there characters that we care about? Can listeners imagine the person, both either the DJ, the news presenter, the sports presenter, or any guests or whatever it is that you might have had on there, right? We need to know that this person has been developed into something that people can imagine what their hair looks like, what they might look like or behave like when they are at gym or out at a club, or you know what I'm saying, with their parents. If that person, like ideally this falls on the DJ, right? So if the DJ has not shared enough of a personality, here we say no. You understand? Because the thing is, we're like, no, like this person needs to become some kind of character in my own life. You understand? That I have some kind of, I've made up more than I need to about a person I'm never going to meet. Do you understand? So, again, if you're interesting, people are going to immediately gravitate to what you look like, what you sound like. I don't know, like I say, what you might be like as a boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever it is, right? Are you telling a relatable story? So, how often or have you decided to bring it back home to the listeners? To the listener's context, right? So you've got this content piece, you've got whatever it is, and you've now made it important in their lives so they can see it from their line of sight, their point of view. Is the information new? Only it is new only if you've added another dimension. So you've added a different article to a different article together to create perspective. You've added social media responses, you've added sound bites, you've added whatever it is to make sure that you didn't copy and paste in from one thing into your show, right? That's how you will judge, is the information new. The moment that personality crosses a line, right? Okay, like we don't, then you've broken this rule. But if you are measuring that, I'm saying you're balancing that quite well, and you are becoming more personable as we move along, then you've done it correctly. And do you sound like you'd be rather be somewhere else? So in other words, too many mistakes. There's a sense of boredom, exhaustion, no investment, no presence. then obviously this has been broken here. And again, how would you describe how you improve on each of these guidelines using examples and timestamps from that show? The timestamp can be included here, and obviously I'll give you the mark here, as well. But what I'm looking for is 10 improvements for 10 criteria over here. Half mark, half mark, half mark, half mark for each one of them. Good. Let's move on to the next one. Right. Okay. All right. Are there any? I'm just going to quickly revert back to the class. Okay. So, are there any questions at this point? Anything you'd like to ask? Yes. Go ahead.
Can you please explain the booking process? Because I still don't understand it.
Okay. So with me, in other words, so with me or yeah, with me, not studios, eh? Okay, because like studios is
Because
going
I
to be a
wanted to
different.
ask,
Yeah.
yes, because that's what I wanted to ask. We're booking for like a snooze session with you individually to
Yeah.
like basically tell you our concepts before
Yes.
actually recording.
Yeah, and even while, look, because you're going to have, like I say, there's going to be space on average for 23 students. We're looking at an average of, like I say, two meetings with me, right? So the thing is, again, at one point, I'm going to catch you in the beginning, right? Obviously, in the first, like I say, 2 weeks, I'm going to be catching everyone in the beginning, right? Which is good because then you can, like I say, you can bounce the ideas off. You can say, will it work? Won't it work? How should it work? Because a podcast is measured on purpose, right? This is the first thing we measure it on. Like, is there a point to actually have this podcast out and about in the public? You understand? I'm saying for public consumption. If there isn't, if I can see, let's say it's going to go nowhere, or it's telling a no sense story, so nonsense but no sense story, then we need to redirect you in a better way of making your idea a reality. You understand? So let's say you might have problems, or you might have semantics. I'm saying to you in terms of like, how do I get this recorded? Do I go to this particular event? Do I go and do some voxes here? Do I make sure that I rather want more of a narrative feel? Do I want to make it an interview thing? Do I want to make it a documentary type of thing? You understand? Then we got to look at, let's say, the resources that are available to you, the stuff that you can actually, how to use. Do you know how to edit? That type of stuff. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Okay. All right. So, and then again, for you, please, for you to record this, if you don't do an on location, so I'm saying to you, an on location recording, in other words, requires you to go to somebody or go somewhere to record this podcast, right? You must record it in the studio. Do you understand? So because you want that higher quality sound, etc., etc. Right. And when you do, so I did explain this in the pre-recordings, but anyway, I'll send you the link to this particular app. It's called Dolby On, right? So just discovered it. Very cool. What happens with this Dolby On free? It's obviously a free app as well. Very simple to use in terms of recording, but it eradicates white noise and that kind of like echo and stuff like that. And you can do cool settings. I'm saying change very simple settings to make your recordings on your phone sound really good. Okay. So for example, things like that I'll help you out with. Okay. Um, all right. Let's look at the second question, right? Your audition video for this Boston broadcast. BMH Radio is looking for you. I'm just going to just increase that so you can see that a little bit. Right. Okay. Right, so below is a Boston broadcast, previously known as BMH Radio, audition and a call for application poster. Applications are open to all registered students who are passionate about working in media. And if you have digital skills, a voice for radio, the ability to write a good script, conceptualize content, or able to make a good graphic or good graphics, right? BMH Radio wants to hear from you. Send us a 90-second video clip where you highlight and showcase your talent in any of these fields, right? And tell us why you or who you are. No walk-ins or paper applications. Please apply by scanning the QR code, which you will not do, obviously, right? You are going to post this video to YouTube, right? So this cannot be a basic video. In other words, you've got to think and conceptualize of something that's going to make you stand out. You've seen this everywhere. I'm saying when you see so the marketing activations for many different radio stations that do call out for new talent will tell you go to Instagram, go to TikTok, create this video as your audition tape, right? And the ones that get through, and I can say this with confidence only because I've said to you before, my previous mentorship mentee, she did one. Obviously, she went through this process, particularly for Good Hope and for Prime Media, and is now working at Prime Media because of it, right? So the thing is that you need to think, conceptualize some kind of storyboard, very simple, something that's going to stand out. So like contrasts, character. A way that maybe that you are directing people or you are directing voiceover artists or whatever it is, but you've got to conceptualize some kind of story that you're going to tell in this 90-second video to stand out. Because the majority of people that do this literally sit there on their couch. You understand I'm saying to you, record a 90-second, whatever it is. Hi, I'm this. Hi, I'm that. Whatever it is. I would love to be your next selected, and I'm saying it in a condescending way because that is no effort to me and no effort to like I say, a station that is looking to hire talent. Okay. So look at the ways that you can best express your strengths, right? In a creative way that is going to make you instantly stand out. Know this. The majority, 90 to 95% of people that do this when a competition like this opens a promotion will do the basics. So you already know that putting in a little bit extra effort, a little bit extra creativity will immediately put you in that 5%. I guarantee it to you. So when you do see this happen again for YFM does it quite often. Like I say, more the youth-oriented stations, 5FM, Good Hope, like I say, are the ones that look for quite aggressively for this type of activation. You know why? A lot of people are focused on there. What they do then afterwards, just as a sidebar, is they'll have like their drive or their breakfast producer have an Instagram live or TikTok live session with you, and they'll get people to vote, right? Because they want their listeners to engage and then obviously be very aware of the sponsor that comes with that. It's a big marketing scheme, but someone has to come out a winner, and someone will land up on air or in the back end staff, like I said, the behind the scene staff. So with this particular clip, one, obviously a creative storyboard, creative message, stand out, and editing, please. So if you got a logo, if you got a brand identity, put it in there. Make sure you're showcasing that and showcasing how you are different, right, and better than the rest. You must always sell as if you are the best. Okay, there is never a best in the industry. There's always someone that'll always be better than someone else, right? But you've got to mitigate. In other words, you've got to deliver as if you are one of the best. Okay, right. So please, you will then upload that video, and please be careful about the way that you shoot the video. We're looking at landscape. We want something that's a landscape oriented, not cut in a portrait style, because it's not TikTok and it's not Instagram, right? So you're looking at something that's landscape. Got, like I say, a bit of a template banner, some again some text or whatever it is, obviously were like pleasing to the eye, not the incorrect fonts. If you're struggling with that type of thing, because even I know that you have done video before, so you know this stuff, right? Like it's certain fonts that look good on a YouTube video. Where are they placed? Are they left oriented, right oriented? Where's a I'm saying like a brand ID supposed to go, or a brand logo? Like look up that stuff and make sure that you are, like I say, ticking all the correct boxes. Okay. All right. Okay. So here comes the
Uh,
podcast. It's yes.
that question, is it
Yeah.
for presenter only? Because I remember at BMH you could apply for news or
Yes.
presenter.
No, you
So,
can do anything. So even if
oh,
you want to be like, you want to be a producer, you want to be a copywriter, you want to you whatever it is that you want to do. Because ideally, you understand, like you want to propagate your own. We are not like I'm going to read now, as far as I understand, even with a podcast, I would not like to force, for example, just to kind of extend on your question, I don't want to force a producer to be a presenter. Does that make sense? Because we know that a lot of people just do not have presenter skills. So they're going to come at they're going to fall short should they be the ones that are hosting this podcast. I want to be able to say, listen, if you are the producer, you need to go and produce a great podcast, find a great presenter. So let's say if you want to apply for news, or you want to apply, like I say, for business news or whatever it is, do like you do you boo, as long as it's within the time limit of 90 seconds and a little bit under. I don't mind anything between 60 and 90 seconds, right? Because then I won't penalize you on time. Like a 23-second one does nothing, you understand? Use the time, do not make it over the time, and everything. Yeah, is that fine? Is that good?
yes, thank you.
Right, okay, great. Right, so let's continue with this podcast, right? So the question aims to create, record, edit, and promote a 10 to 15-minute audio podcast episode on a topic of your choosing. That seems like freedom, but this is difficult. When you can do anything about anything, you are sitting with an endless, like a never-ending black, sorry, like a spiral, like a black hole, right? So be very careful of saying like this is freedom. It's not. My recommendation is podcast about what you are passionate about. That is what you must podcast about, because this is what you know about, what you're interested about. You know exactly what you want to say about it, whatever it is. That's what I would do. Don't try be somebody else, right? Or try to recreate the structure or the formula of a podcast that does work already. Look at what you want to do and start there. Okay. So you will also set up a podcast channel to host your episode. Right, right. The assignment is designed to access your skills in content creation, audio recording and editing, and social media promotion. Right, okay. So big marks to get. Like, look at this channel creation, man, almost looks too good to be true. And I'm not being sarcastic. 20 marks then already just to create the channel. Right. So you're going to go to Iono or Spotify. Your channel should have an appealing name, so not just your name and surname, right? I know mine's called the Chris Jordan Media Podcast Series, but that it's because I've got finite series. I don't work with never-ending series. I'm infinite. I'm infinite. 6 episodes, 8 episodes. It's done. It's dusted. So it suits what the purpose of that channel is, right? If you want to go the route of, if you want to go that kind of route where you want to do different types of podcast series, then name it according to your name brand. You understand, right? Or otherwise give it something catchy, right? And something that's not too vague or confusing or whatever it is, right? A well-written description, please. The description needs to be not. Don't be lazy. Put in enough information about the channel so that people know and understand what they can expect when they go to the actual podcast channel itself. There's the channel for the whole channel, and then there are supposed to be the openings for different podcasting channels. If you pay for, obviously, like if you pay for your account, like you'll have the option to create multiple podcast channels, right? And so comes the sub creation here. Anyway, okay. So the channel should have an appealing name, a well-written description, and appropriate branding, logo, and cover art. This must be professionally made. So again, I'm going to just show you, like we'll just quickly reference. I won't go through the entire thing because I know, like I said, I've given you videos on it, right? But like what a cool, like you can create on your phone, you know that with photo apps, easy. Something that just looks really great, enticing, and describes to the person what this channel is about. If you have a brand logo, right, use that for the channel itself. And in the podcast, create a different, like I say, piece of cover art that describes the podcast channel itself. I'm saying, sorry, so the podcast series, and again, if it's confusing, I'll show you what it means now, or how it looks like now. The channel and the podcast channel are two different things. This is the entire channel, and that is per podcast, like I say, series that you're doing. Anyway, okay, so okay, the layout of your demo, creativity, production. So please ignore this word demo because it really isn't. This is you going live to the public and like I say, first exposing yourself professionally to the world around you, right? Creativity, production quality, presentation style, and execution. We will see the rubric below to see how the 20 marks actually pans out, right? All right. You must create the channel's first 10 to 15-minute audio podcast. The content should be engaging, original, and relevant to your chosen theme. The podcast should have a clear introduction, body, and conclusion. Right. So you may, like I say, in the guide, I say to you, if you want to produce like a nice, cool 7 to 10 second like intro, like musical, obviously like it's got music in or whatever it is, that like IDs your podcast. That's cool. That's great. You can do a top and a tail for it, something at the beginning and something at the end. The end can include, for example, where you are telling people, obviously, thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow me on all my socials at this, and this, at this, and this, and this, at this, and this, if you want to directly DM me as well, right? So you can, so for example, on Iono, you can't really comment, I'm saying, on the podcast, so you can't really create engagement for it, right? But you can create engagement in the promotion that you do for the podcast itself. So on social mediums, be very open to maybe cutting like a small 30-second edit from, let's say, the podcast, putting it on like a banner or like I say, a picture, and having like the most enticing part, have a call to action, like what are your thoughts on like correctional rape or whatever it is. Do you know someone that is, I don't know, in the closet, whatever it is, I don't know, whatever it is, and tell me something, a direct call to action, make it very clear like you did in your radio shows. We'll get to that in just a moment, right? So editing and uploading, please, like you should, by now you have to know how to use like free software like Audacity. It'll do the job, I promise you. And GarageBand is another one. I did give another one in this little how-to guide, but it's a paid for one. And obviously you all know, like, I mean, whatever. I mean, I do it. So I'm not going to like try and be high and mighty about it. I torrent the stuff. And if you can crack the software for like an Adobe or a Pro Tools or whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with that because you're not making money off it. If you need the software for an outcome that you mustn't obviously make money off, because then you must go and buy licenses, please, because then you can actually go to jail. Then go ahead and find a piece of software that works for you. But Audacity is free, easy to use, and again, does the job. Has multi channels, like I said, that you can work with. and it has all the correct basic effects that you can apply, like with your EQ, your compressors, etc., etc. Right. Be careful about compressing too much to make it sound tinny or this or that. Um, when you're working with different types of effects that you are applying, make sure you're applying it across the podcast. And so if you are splitting and editing and stuff like that, like be careful. Rather do all the editing first and apply the processing afterwards to the what is the word called? When you go and you I've lost the train of thought. Basically, when you're combining the thing down to a mix down, I don't know now what the word is. Anyway, but you're basically mixing it down to one file, then go and apply all your effects there anyway. So please remember that in a podcast, if you are going to have your ums, ahs, and that, it has to be disclaimed that this was for a reason. Otherwise, please, you have to remove all the unwanted sounds, like like weird things in the background that don't make any sense. Please, all your ands, ums, or buts, or the stuff where you are tripping over yourself or whatever it is, you've got to edit that out, right? And make it a clean edit, because what happens is that no one cares if it's a professionally recorded edit. I'm saying a podcast, if it's a great quality podcast. So you can be an amateur that has put stuff together. It's got a nice, clean sound to it, or it's got a nice, clean edit to it. And people are like, this is great because it's great content and I'm having a good time. I don't care if it wasn't produced by the highest of the high. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's have a look at the promotion. As I said, the podcast must be promoted on at least 2 different social media platforms. You will provide the links to those particular posts that this promotion now is happening. Now, you cannot rinse, cycle, repeat in this case. In other words, if you're going to use TikTok, please use it for what TikTok is made for. And if you're going to use Instagram, for example, just like I'm gonna have to just quickly get some tissue now. If you're going to use Instagram, like you must use it with a good convention. Do an IG live, like use a reel properly, or embed like an entire, like I say, like a teaser or whatever it is. But the TikTok cannot be a rinse, cycle, repeat. Then you must do something else. Otherwise, you must use X or you must use Facebook to be able to go and then promote this in the way that's correct for that platform. Obviously, you're going to show me that you posted at the correct times. It's got to have the correct hashtags. In other words, you must do a digital strategy for each one of these posts, right? The digital strategy we've discussed before, but should you, like I say, just have a question about it, it is the platform that you're doing it on, the time and the day that you posted it on, the actual post, the actual caption, right? All the hashtags that you're going to use. And that is, I'm saying to you, and that obviously coincides with like high traffic and obviously any reason why maybe you might invite a collaborator or whatever it may be, so that you can make sure that this has been promoted correctly. Okay. All right. Okay. Before we get down to the rubric, are there any questions? Also, just let me just quickly get a tissue. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Are there any questions about all of that confusion, whatever it may be? Anything? Nothing?
So maybe as the time goes by, but for now on my side I have nothing.
Okay. All right. Again, I do understand that you guys need to process this. Like I say, process quite quickly again because we start obviously on Wednesday. Right. I will share that schedule with you latest tomorrow afternoon, like it's about 2 o'clock. Okay. All right. So here's the breakdown. As I said to you, half a mark for every correct reflection and with everything in between. 5. Right, 1 mark for every correct reflection over there. And I think this is quite clear. Okay. Now, Shiva, the video, where do you get the marks? 1, was it well put together? In other words, edited and conceptualized correctly. Does it show off, like, don't worry about presenter, right? Like whatever it is that you are obviously advocating for, like, does it show off your talent, right? How do you decide to show that off? Okay. Is the person, like the person, obviously you, articulate, right? And are you creative? Will give you the 10 marks, right? Let's look at how this one is broken down. So, in terms of the channel description, right? Creativity and originality. The channel should be unique and creative. It should reflect your chosen podcast topic and attract your target audience. Like ease of navigation, make it very simple, not messy. When you are looking at subcategories for, like, is this self-improvement? Is it like educational? Is it whatever it is? These things must be chosen in the setup of that account, right? You can obviously go and edit it at any one point and refine it as you move along, right? Information should be clearly organized. It should be easy for users to navigate and find your podcast episodes. It naturally actually is, because when you click on obviously the channel will just underneath there have the podcast stream that you're busy working with or your is currently active. Visual appeal, very important, because the thing is that because everyone else is doing it, so do you need to do it, right? So a nice professional graphic. If you feel like you're not the best, I'm saying, at creating I'm saying like graphical elements, man, then just keep it simple, but use your ingenuity to create something that looks enticing, that looks dramatic, that looks descriptive, whatever it is, in a, like I say, in a visual way. The correct colors, the correct images, the way that you decide to either, like, if you're going to sit there and distort, I'm saying lettering, do not do that. It mustn't be too small, it mustn't be too long, it mustn't be like that type, it mustn't look weird on the eye. Okay, right? So again, visual appeal, channel description. At the end of the day, channel description. See, there's sorry, yeah, we go. Description should be engaging, informative, and clearly explain the purpose of your podcast. Right. Okay. So, like I said to you, I'm going to show you just the example now of the difference. Right. The quality of content. Okay, the podcast should contain high quality, engaging, and informative content. Your podcast should clearly convey your intended message. Your content should be well organized and flow logically from beginning to end. So I'm saying this is the actual podcast itself. The sound quality, clear sound, minimal background noise, right? Again, that can be contextualized, or you have studios to record it in, please. So then use them, right? Editing quality. My advice to you, if you're not that great at editing, here's how you're going to be marked. If I can hear that you edited it, you're going to lose the marks. In other words, if it's abrupt, if you now cut off words, if things like that, if the natural pauses are not put in correctly, you're going to lose those marks immediately, right? Please use simple editing. In other words, like where you feel like you've made a mistake, don't talk too fast. If you feel like you have spoken too fast, you've made a mistake, pause and do it again. You understand? So that you have different takes for what it is that you can use as the better, like, take within obviously the audio that you do record, so that you do not record on two different occasions. Your energy is going to be different, guaranteed, and your execution will be different, guaranteed. So this podcast must be recorded in a one go. Rather take an hour of recording to get down to a 10 or 15-minute podcast, then you have to come back and back and back and back and have this big hot mess. Okay, for the, like I said, the energy execution, etc. Right. Time management, obviously, it has to be between 10 and 15. Anything lower, anything higher, right, will obviously count for 2 until you have no more marks left. Right. Okay. Then creative use of social media. Please, again, like you've seen, like obviously digital, you have been taught about it. I'm saying taught digital throughout other subjects as well. We've touched on it in this subject, but it's not my priority. So I know that digital is being covered in your other subjects, right? You know how to create engaging and captivating posts because you also respond to it every single day, right? Okay. So just again, there it is there, stuff that we've gone through, reflection, and then obviously here you go is your cover page, please. At the end of the day, all I need is the cover page. That's it. That's literally it. There's nothing that you have to actually submit otherwise. The YouTube link, the podcast link, the social media posts there, right? Okay. And then ideally you want, this is for the show, right? Sorry, this is for the show that you want to put up. Okay, I'm going to stop the share over there. Just going to close that over there. I'm going to send you the brief as well in the group, plus obviously this particular this little how-to guide. Okay, so I just want to quickly open up Iono here. I'll just share with you there. There we go. Okay. So this is what I mean by this is the profile, right? Okay. So the profile, I keep it quite standard across pretty much everything. Also, when I get tired of writing this like mini profile, right? Okay, Christian Media, there's a nice little logo there. Okay, and then it says there, obviously like where if people need anything, I just need to take that out, seeing as I repeated there. I'm there in South Africa. There's contact information. If I want to click on that, it's filled in, it's completed, right? Okay. I have one podcast show, only paying for the one, right? Christian Media podcast series, right? You need one of these, and they have to be in the correct. You'll see that it'll spit you out. I'm saying Iona will spit you out if these dimensions and those dimensions are not correct, right? So make sure that when you are editing, you're sticking to what is expected of you, where you go and you'll see that I need to go and, okay, I haven't logged in now. So if I log in, you'll see obviously the options to go and edit this and edit these and whatever it is, right? Okay. But you can see that like it's under society culture and it's under personal journals. Obviously, I am the presenter. If there's a co-presenter, which there never is, right? There's always guests that I might include, or there is someone that I will highlight. For example, like Viv, the podcast was centered around her. I will mention it within the obviously the edit of that particular episode, right? So you've got then the podcast channel to then describe, but then you also have the actual podcast itself with its obviously so there's obviously three places where you're going to be writing stuff around, etc., 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 right? So there, like I say, this is I'm very happy with I have a good eye for graphics or whatever it is. So that's what I wanted. It tells you a little bit more about Viv. She really is, she considers herself like East Rand trash, but with obviously with a high intellect, which she does have, right? Made sure it's like that. Very dramatic, obviously, in terms of edits, and it looks pretty good. Like I did the same thing across, like here. This is my religious podcast, which is Who's Out There. And again, this was a different variant, right, of which I would then rotate back and forth. Again, like plan for, like I say, the banner that you want to create here for your like I say your podcast. So making sure that there's some kind of story being told there, etc., etc., etc. Right. Okay. So that's what we need from you is something that is consistent, it's professional, it's got, like I say, like the titles are easy to understand. The descriptions are nice. They're short but long enough to like to not show that it is lazy. Like for example, this one, when I interviewed the pantheist, right? Like there we go over there, external links, or let's say there's an email link over there. I can put it in, whatever it is that makes it right. You can use hashtags, but it doesn't make much of a difference on Iona. I'm telling you now, right? Okay, so you're more than welcome to put hashtags in there. Ideally, the hashtags are probably 10 to 1 because you're going to be sharing it across another medium or so. Right. Okay. And then please obviously test to see whether or not like it actually works, you know? So right. Okay. So a little bit of an intro there, whatever it may be. I think at the end, like this guy was done actually on. So for example, like here, like I needed this guy was in Cape Town, right? I don't know any pantheists. I don't follow those circles. Like I don't surround myself in those circles, right? But Damon like lives in Neisner. So the only way I could have an interview with this dude was through Zoom. You could alternatively, obviously I wanted to use Zoom because it more splits up the audio from the video, you understand? So that I can just take the audio immediately and I can start working with that, right? So but I go and I disclaim, because it is on Zoom, the audio quality is going to be a little less, like, so I'm saying it's going to be it's going to be a little less, a lower quality, right? Because you'll hear like, yeah. There's a variance on mics, man. The thing is, again, what are you gonna do? What you gonna do? Like you got a PC, like it's got its mic. You can only fix it so much in each application. I'm saying you can only adjust it as much. And you need to disclaim there. Be like, if it was shot in Zoom or if it was shot in Teams or whatever it is, then disclaim there, and the people will not care because you're not trying to sell it as something that was done like in a professional studio or whatever it may be. So for example, I mean, like here, this one was shot, this one was outside, right? So just to explain to you how semantics of like atmosphere and ambience make a difference, right? I'm sorry, I haven't even shared the sound. Why is no one saying anything? And anyway, sorry, man. You guys kill me, eh? Let me just include the sound. And okay, so let me just go with this one first. All right. So this one again here, there's the ambience of, so we shot this in Hatfield. Well, I obviously recorded this in Hatfield Park, sorry, Springbok Park in Hatfield. There was a big African spiritualistic like event going on there. Great time to get like in touch with like sangomas, etc., etc. I needed this, right?
The interesting part of it is she even narrated to me that she went to the hospital, and then there was a time when finally she was told that there could be no explanation to
that's okay.
the condition,
Right.
So when it gets to that level, that's when most people want to get the explanation from traditional healers, and so that's when she actually started that route. Yeah. And then the whole family has been under attacks, including young children who haven't even got to the level of the periods. As young as 8, So when they go through that stage, obviously there'll be some complication.
Just with the phone, like you must test it. I'm saying the way that you handle your phone, right? You must first please test and see where you're going to pop and where it's going to distort, and what is the good, like I say, a good range between you and the guest that you are busy chatting to on location, wherever it is, right? So for example, I want to show you the difference between, okay, so as I said there, the pantheist. Just want to show you that there was not. It's not the best quality, but the thing is that like I said, what can I do?
My name is Chris.
It's important to embrace change.
Yeah. Again, I say, I mean, have you wanted to let go of this? Did you feel
No.
that this
No.
direction was not working for you? Like I said, when you are feeling at your most humane, the first thing we do is obviously try to find as kind of like a blame relief, like a blame system.
Right. Yeah. I don't think that.
Right, so variance in levels, but if disclaimed, please. Nobody is going to say to you, what rubbish, right? So here, for example, here was recorded in a car, right? Okay, be clever about it. When we get the good, like I say, acoustics from it, this was a 50-minute episode. We drove around Germiston. Man, it was whatever it may be, right?
No jokes.
You have to no, you have to see. There are 6 wires. Oh shit, 8. Okay, so that means they're laying wires directly from the pole to the back of the house to bypass pesky things like the council
Payment.
and things. Yes, pesky things like payments are to be avoided. And those are by also the people who hijacked the street.
Nice.
Nice. But you have to admire the spirit. I just decided, fuck you.
What's the point of being South African unless
Yeah.
you can?
Let's see if we can get away with this.
Yeah.
And nobody did anything. So, oh, well, that's cool.
When you drove past like a responsible citizen.
Yes, I went like, oh, no, look there.
Right. My thing is, again, my predominant. I've got obviously ones that are recorded, like in studio it is, but man, I don't wait for. Personally, I don't believe if you've got a story to tell, and there's a way to get around it. I'm saying without having to go and hire a studio and hire mics, and I'm sorry, because the thing is, a lot of people are being exploited who want to do podcasts, but actually are not told that there's an easier way to do this. Find a situation, find a context, right? That will obviously justify why you're recording with certain, like I say, ambience, noise, quality, etc., etc. But make sure that obviously the end edit is nice and clear, and it's something that people can or want to actually listen to. Right? Okay. Any questions there? Just general? All good? Okay, so one last thing, and then I'll let you go. Like I said, I just want to just to walk you slightly through. Yes, Kia?
So are we allowed to have guests, or is it just
Yes.
one person?
You can do whatever you want. If you want to have 4 guests, go ahead. You can do whatever you want. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, I'm just going to just quickly, like I said, I'm going to scan through so that you know what to expect from the document as well. Like I say, it's half compiled. It's obviously half copied, because I went on the net and decided, listen, let me just try and find some of the easiest go-to steps, right? Like for example, choosing a topic, right? Picking a co-host should you want one, and obviously like obviously the problems that might come in with that. Choosing a name. Here just showing in terms of like I think maybe this is not the correct one. Oh no, this is. Just give me a second. Just want to get the right. Use that thing. Downloads. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. Skis. Let me just quickly share. So there was just it irritates me because the layout was incorrect. Okay. You'll see that when this is where I'm going to continue the next lesson, the recorded lesson, right, from launch. Okay. But so here, all the way here, picking a co-host, say choosing a name, the length of it, which is completely debatable, but in your case, obviously it's predefined. Obviously the style, like what type of style. Then there's a bit of a template. If you're going to have an ad spot, then which you're not going to. The call to action is like review us, leave a comment, do this, follow us here. That's a call to action in terms of that, because you're not recording a live stream, which actually allows for like real-time interaction. Then the cover art over there's some examples over there. A professional intro, very important, like I said, to give a bit of a good impression. The microphone, as I've explained, you'll see it, obviously I explained to you, just use your phone in the right way with the right size. You must buy the only microphones that actually matter are the ones that actually cost over 2,000 Rand. And those are the ones that will give you a proper recording. I'm saying, should you want to build a podcasting studio for yourself, right? Picking the right guests, obviously, very important. Okay, recording and editing. So there's the one that you're going to get a 7-day trial on. But if you don't want to go through that schlep, GarageBand Audacity is there, right? And then I'll give you a couple of settings, right, that you can use over here, like the system settings in terms of dynamics, like the compressor, EQs, different settings that you can possibly use that'll come out to quite a nice sound, etc. And then obviously something that we'll discuss, like I say, I'm going to discuss in another recording that I'll probably release later on this week, just how to obviously launch. And perhaps, let's not get anyone's hopes up, monetize your podcast at the end of the day. Okay. All right. And that's basically what I'm going to literally send you now, but is available on Call Campus. I'm going to send you, like I say, in the WhatsApp group. All right. Anything, any questions? Or you're all good? Are you happy? I'm going to take that as a, yep.
Sorry,
Sharon?
it was a mistake.
Okay, yeah. All right. Great. Then, yes, Kia?
So in terms of in terms of starting the channel and everything, can you do it in November so that we pay just for 1 month?
So you can have a free account. So you are allowed having a free account. The only thing that comes with a free account is they tell you for every 60 days, a new episode must be posted. So you can have the free account. No, there's no restrictions that come with the free account. It's so that you can get a feel for whether or not you actually like what Iona does for you. Does that make sense? Right? So you can start a free account. The only, like I say, restriction is they will cut you off if you don't post a second, third, fourth episode within a 60-day period. Okay. That
So
makes
it's still
sense.
safe to do it in November so that by December it's when we cut off. It's safe.
Look, no, I mean, like, just start. I mean, start now. Because what do we are? We're in what, October now, eh? September, October, November. That's 60 days, right? Like, aren't you gonna? Oh, you're saying, okay, it might cut off by the time I mark it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
No, but I have to mark in November, so October,
Yes.
November. I know, but early November. I've got to mark early November, like we
You can't mark
now.
early November, so it's the due date is mid-November.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's early November. Like, you'll still have 2 weeks if you don't post something new. Please, what I don't want to leave it to the next month is there might be a little bit too much to fix. Do you understand? So maybe start in, like I say, in the first week of the next month. I'm saying with the channel itself, and rather with the booking, with the sessions that we have to conceptualize everything even before you put it down on digital paper. Does that make sense? So,
Okay.
okay. So, like let's say first week, second week of October, like set it up and it'll be fine. Okay.
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 So,
Yeah, Bontley. Uh, so just Bontley had a hand up first
oh,
and then, yeah.
So, is there any alternative? Is it Spotify that you mentioned that we can use?
You can use Spotify, yeah. And again, there
Okay.
is the free, like I say. So the only thing why I say with Iono is because it's if you're doing it for the long run, because Iono is local, right? They literally, so the people that if you need a help center or whatever, you get the direct person that walks you through stuff that helps you with. They're not like an ocean away. Spotify is far. I'm saying to you, if you need any assistance, I'm saying to you, or you need like someone to talk to or whatever it may be, or maintain your profile or your account, right? So the thing is with Iona, at least it does. Like I've found my podcast in weird places, not like dirty weird places, but it's popped up in many like odd places because the RSS feeds to Spotify and Apple get 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 repeated. I don't even know how because I don't deal with Spotify or Apple. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just deal with Iona. And like I say, I'm not propagating them, but I prefer someone that I can call on a landline here than have to go and deal with someone in Spotify. I'm saying, but Spotify is available. You can just go there and create it over there. Just like I say, check the limitations and the restrictions as well, because I'm sure they also have one. They have their something. Well, I don't. Okay. Okay. All right. Apelele, yeah.
I wanted to ask, since you said we're only meeting with you twice in this time around,
Probably, yeah.
the
Yeah.
first round being us actually telling you the idea of the podcast. I want to,
Anything, yeah, yeah.
um, are we supposed to have multiple podcasts as we did before and then submit just one? Or can
If,
we, or must we
yeah,
have one and then
just one.
submit just
If you
one? So
if you're
there's no need
you're
for multiple.
confident and passionate about the one, there's no need to record more than that. So really, like we're just looking that you get started off and doing like something really that you love and it looks good. You understand? It makes sense. Look,
So
sounds good, etc.
can I, let's say now you agree with my concept and now I go to actually preparing for the show. I write down who I'm gonna interview,
Yeah.
everything, the question. Can I come back to you as the second session
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
make sure that no, this is wrong, put this in so that when I go into my final thingy,
Yeah.
it's sorted.
So let me obviously, so I don't want to also, I'm going to disclaim, I'm not going to restrict access to myself. I'm still your lecturer. It doesn't make sense. So if you need help on along the way, do you understand? Just say, Chris, can I send you some stuff? Can you have a look at it and give me some feedback? Do you understand? The only time I will say no is if I've seen that someone has not booked sessions or not pitched up for. Does that make sense? You
Oh,
understand? And then I'm going to say no. Do you
all right.
understand? Because that's just wasting, just like taking the mickey out of it. Okay, right. Okay, Kia, and then Tian had your hand up as well. Kia, say
I'm so confused at this point, sir.
in
So
what?
what you're
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
based on what Apilele just asked,
Hmm.
is it like a Snoop session or is it a brainstorming session? Like we are
Yeah,
telling you this is the idea, we're pitching the
yeah.
podcast idea to you
Yeah. And
for the
also
first.
it's so I can help you literally make this come to life. So if you come back to me, do you understand, in another session and have the raw audio and you're saying, Chris, I need help cleaning it up, for example, send me the audio, let me help a little bit with the editing, let me show you how it goes, you understand? And let me show you where and when something should be cut out or this should be cut in or let's say you're saying, look, here's my draft profile. What can I change, etc., etc. Do you understand? So these things are literal structural sessions. You understand? The brainstorming ideally would be the first ones that we have together because you want to be able to feel like confident that you have a plan of action. Does that make sense? And that you can go and execute it on your own, right? So, and that's what it's about. Just because we have such a massive class, that's why the sessions are going to be too little. I'm saying very little. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Tian,
Are we supposed to do one episode a week, or are we focusing on
No, just
one?
one. No,
Huh?
just one episode. Just one episode.
Okay.
Yeah. So if at a later point, or if you do want to, for example, do 2 episodes or 3 episodes, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But it's not going to be something that will push for you. Right now, we want to get the first one correct, like right. Want to get you in the mode and in motion. You understand? So that you can start. Excuse me. Start deciding. I want this to happen once every month. Is what I normally tell beginner podcasters. Leave it for once a month, to go and release a new episode, new episode, new episode. So you don't feel like this is work, right? It's rather something you can control and obviously premeditate. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me know if there's anything else. I will, like I say, I'll first, like I say, send you the documents now, and then I'll share that calendar the moment. It could be even later today. Okay. That I just do the first 2 weeks, first 2, 3 weeks. Okay. All right, everyone. Good luck, and I'll see you. Like I say, I'll see you on the other side. There are the pre-recorded sessions up on Call Campus already. Okay. Lessons. All right. Okay. Uh, just wave you goodbye and then
Bye.
cheers. Bye. I need this recording to stop. And transcription. And then it's in the chat.